The only problem I have with Worst Roommate Ever is that it's far too short. I absolutely adore this. This is a new true crime series to Netflix, and it's 5 episodes in length, I believe, and it is so captivating. It's so well put together, and the mix of cases are brilliant, and also quite chilling, because some of them, I won't say anything specifically, and I won't say which people, but what I will say is some of these individuals are still out there, which makes it slightly intimidating because you could think that actually the criminals mentioned in these, you could be affected by them, and that's kind of terrifying. This series looks at individuals who either rented out a room, or rented a room in an apartment or in somebody's house, and their landlord or the guest or a fellow resident turned out to be horrible. Some cases it's murder, some cases it's abuse. I don't want to go into too much detail about each of the cases. I will talk a little bit just to give you a flavour, but I don't want to spoil anything because it is, in a lot of cases, really quite disturbing. And there were two individuals who really stood out to me, Youssef and Jamison. Jamison, the animals involved in that case made me really furious. Quite interesting, that's the only two-parter. It's the final 2 episodes, called Roommate Wanted. I know I'm starting at the end of the series, but basically with Roommate Wanted, the two-parter, Jamison became a tenant for various different people and basically refused to leave their homes, but he also manipulated them in a lot of different ways and destroyed a lot of people's lives. And it's really emotional. You get to, there's a lot of interview footage with individuals who were affected, and you can really see how their lives were destroyed and their homes were no longer theirs. When you invite somebody into your house to stay as a paying tenant or roommate or flatmate, I should also point out, I find it really weird that Americans refer to people they live with as roommates, even when they have a different room. I find it very odd. I did Google it. I'm not the only person who thinks it's weird. But it's so eerie. Marathon Man, I'm working backwards, is Youssef, and this one probably disturbed me the most because of how vast it is. Um, that one I found to be um, very disturbing because he affected a lot of people over a large number of countries in a short space of time. It was also very moving. One of the individuals who was interviewed, she's very eloquent in the way she explains things. Now, I can't remember her name, unfortunately, but it's the one with the individual who talks about the golden toilet seat, which will make sense when you watch it. And I wanted to reach out to her and hug her, partly because of what she went through, and partly because what she is doing must take a lot of courage to relive these kind of things and talk about them in front of a camera with an interviewer, but also knowing that it's going to reach potentially millions of people. She did a fantastic job with telling her story, and slightly welling up thinking about it. There are some graphic images, nothing too severe, but if you are kind of queasy or a bit cautious of true crime that features graphic content, there is a little bit in this series. The other 2 episodes, Be Careful of the Quiet Ones, was quite scary because it could easily happen to anybody who was renting out a room. I guess any of these could really happen to anybody. Most of these were with people who were renting a room out on Craigslist. We don't have that in the UK, but we do have obviously a lot of rooms to let websites. If you use any of them, proceed with caution. It will make you very, very wary of renting out a room or moving into somebody's own property. The moral of these is do background checks. I mean, some of these people did do background checks and it came back with nothing, or nothing, particularly suspicious. But be very careful. We get some phone calls with police here, 911 calls, and I think that that's really smart. If you are suspicious of anything going on with a tenant or landlord, log it, make a note of it. It's always worth doing. The first episode, working backwards as I said, is Call Me Grandma, and it's about a landlady. And this one was very well done. As a starting episode, it really laid the foundations for what we can expect And I watched this episode and I thought, this is incredible. And actually, it's probably the weakest of all of the episodes. And that's that's kind of saying something, because they're all fantastic. But it's a great starting point, and from there it just gets better and better. There was one thing I'm not quite sure about. They use animation to recreate some of the scenes. None of the more violent scenes, but when a character, because they're characters in the animated recreations, looks sinister at somebody, it's very well done. But I can't work out if I like that they've got that, or if it's a bit jarring. I haven't quite made up my mind. But certainly it doesn't detract from how amazing this is. From the perspective of being educational, it's very eye-opening. If you are looking to hire or to rent out a room or looking to take up accommodation, be careful. That's always good advice anyway, but it will definitely make you a lot more cautious. But if you're a true crime fan, I think you will love it. I love true crime series that have an overarching focus, with this one, of course, being tenants and landlords and roommates. And I just think it's got a fantastic mix of people. Some of these people are very physically abusive. Some of them are, by which I mean murderers. Some of them are a lot more emotionally and psychologically abusive. Most of these people are very clever and very good and being manipulative and doing what they are doing. I truly adored it. As I said, my only complaint, I'm getting overexcited. My only complaint is that it's not long enough. I am desperate for a second season. I truly loved it. If you're a fan of true crime, check out Worst Roommate Ever. You will absolutely adore it.